Good morning. This is Black Forest coming to you with another market analysis video this morning. This morning we're going to be looking at the NZDUSD. But before we get started to break down this Forex pair, we have to state that this video is for educational purposes only. This is not financial advice. But we all know why you guys are here, which is to find good, credible Forex content that can help improve your ability as a trader and help put a little bit of extra money in your pocket, okay? So now when you got that said, let's go ahead and break down this currency pair, okay? So this morning we're going to be looking at the NZDUSD, okay? And we're going to start off with breaking down the Kiwi before we break down the USD, okay? The Kiwi had some not so good news coming in the beginning part of this trading week, and then we got some poor news towards the end of Tuesday. Okay, so I mean, it has been one of our stronger currencies from the last few several trading weeks, and it did somewhat act as strong towards the beginning of this trading week. But we're going to have to see how these negative news events has come out is going to be affecting the NZD going into the latter part of this trading weekend, also going into the beginning of next week. Okay. With the USD, we got a couple things going on with that. We'll talk about what's going on with what's been going on and what's actually been happening since the start of this video. Okay. Now the USD did have the Federal Reserve did increase the interest rate from 25 to 50% to combat the inflation. So we're in a situation where the Fed and the government is taking a very active stance against battling inflation to improve the American economy. So we do not go into a recession by the summer. Okay. So with that said, we're looking at a situation like this. If the economic policies and measures that's in place, along with the increase in interest rate, start to combat inflation very effectively and very expeditiously, then we'll be in a situation where we'll see a rapid increase in the US dollar strength. But if we're in a situation that the economic policies and measures in place does not combat the inflation aggressively or effectively, then we will be in a situation where the USD will start to get much more weak due to fear, uncertainty, and doubt surrounding the US dollar. And then we'll start to have the US dollar will become much weaker than it currently is right now. And then we'll start to see the beginnings of a recession. Okay. And being that they do not want to have a recession, especially going into the midterms, I believe they're going to start really putting the pedal to gas on trying to fix the American economy. Okay. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and break down the technical analysis of what's going on. Okay. So, as we can see, we've been in an uptrend, very crazy looking uptrend, but it's still an uptrend nonetheless. And then we started getting to this area here where the beginning of the week we were ranging out, then we started to creep up some, and then we started to kind of range out again. Now, the only reason why we started to have this here is because people still believed in this move, what was going on. So, when you got millions of retail traders pressing buys, it's still going to continue to push up. But I would caution buying, well, I was cautioning in previous videos buying anything in this area because you don't want to be in a situation where prices are starting to turn over again. That is definitely looking like it's doing now. Okay. Now, this morning, prior to making this video at 8:30, we did have some very good news come out about the initial jobless claims for the USD. It's the lowest it's been, I believe, since they said 1969. So that's a very good sign of the strength for the US dollar. So we're going to have to see how this news plays out throughout the rest of the New York session, going into the Asian session and going into the London session over in the late night to early morning. Okay. And so we're going to see how this news plays out. So for right now, we're definitely looking like we're starting to have price turnover. Okay. Now let's see how far we can go down. It's a possibility we can go as far as down as here. We can go as far down as here. or we can go as far down as here before we start to pick up any strength to go towards the long side. Okay. So this is going to possibly be some aggressive retracement, especially due to the negative, the not so good news that we had with the NZD. So there's a possibility we can get deep into this area here, or possibly as low as here, before we start to go back up again. But also, we have to also take in consideration what could happen is if that the American government really start putting their foot on the pedal with trying to fix this inflation, then we can possibly see what is starting to look like retracement actually turn into price turnover when we're going from the long position to the short position, okay? But as of what's going to be happening in the immediate future, we could push down to this area here, range out, and continue to go down. Or we could push down to this area here, here, or here before we continue to range and go up. But if we continue to have strong USD news and we continue to have negative NZD news, and we start to see that the Feds and the American government is really pushing it to fix the inflation, then we can definitely start to see the beginnings of price turnover when we'll start to roll over and go towards the short side, okay? But it looks like in the immediate future, we're going to be seeing some potential short positions be able to make money for the right now. We could go as far as here before we start the range here or this area here before the possibility of the long position. But as it's going down, you still want to keep checking the fundamentals to see is that what's going on with the USD and what's going on with the NZD, because that is going to dictate what direction that this chart is going to go in. Okay. But as of right now, we got some very good news at 8:30 with the initial jobless claims, where it was 215 previously. They predicted it was going to be 212. Then it came out to 187, which is good. And it's also a reflection of what's going on with inflation. A lot of people are now picking on more jobs to be able to make extra money to pay for these high gas prices and higher consumer goods. So it's a tale of what's going on, but it's also a good sign that a good economic indicator that there's a possibility of light at the end of the tunnel with this inflation. Okay, hope that information was helpful for you guys. Happy trading.